Why does grief affect us so profoundly, and what can we do to cope during times like this? To answer those questions, we're joined by Christopher Hall, CEO of the Australian Centre for Grief and Bereavement. Thanks for joining us, Christopher.
Yes, it's hard to imagine a more public grief than what we've been seeing on the television in the last couple of days.
We've seen the royal family make a real point of looking at the flowers that people have left, thanking the public. How important is it that they share in and really acknowledge the nation's grief rather than just grieving privately in terms of helping the country heal?
I think they certainly play an important role, and many people find great comfort from their presence as well.
Indeed. Many have said it's like they've lost a family member.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to realise that grief doesn't require a physical relationship. We know this through the death of celebrities. What we're seeing is really a generational shift. We're seeing a loss, a point of transition. So often the death of a public figure also connects us to other deaths that we've experienced. Grief is a fabric where you start pulling on one loss. And so for many people, it brings about reminders of the death of their own mother or their own grandmother.
And so what's your best advice for coping? Where can people turn?
Well, I think it's important to recognise that people will have different reactions. It'll bring up different issues for each person. It's important that the experiencing the impact of this loss is really quite normal, and it may trigger reminders of others' loss. Recognise that grief takes time. This is not something that is resolved quickly. And I think if people are really troubled by this experience, or it has triggered other experiences of loss, then they can reach out to organisations like my own, the Australian Centre for Grief and Bereavement. And our website, www.grief.org.au, has lots of resources available for grieving people.
Well, that's some really good advice, because it certainly does impact different people in different ways. Christopher Hall from the Australian Centre for Grief and Bereavement, thanks so much for your time.
My pleasure, Angela.
Let the joyous news be spread, the wicked old witch at last is dead.